So this is how you should make forest that will look naturally spread on your maps. But if you want to do meshed forest in Wonderdraft, I find this to be the best option. Hello and welcome back, fantasy cartographers. In this episode we are going to add forests, and before I do that I want to quickly introduce you the three main ways of adding trees to your maps. Starting with the first way, the most minimalism that you can ever achieve on a fantasy map is using the basic shapes. Some triangles, some circles or ellipse. And what do I understand from this? There is a forest. I don't know what kind of trees they are. I don't know what kind of climate surrounding has. They just tell me that there is a forest, and the cartographer is either very lazy to make the trees or a psychopath for adding 5,000 circles on the map. But it's fine. I like the minimalism. So anyway, if I'm going with the minimalism option and adding circles, triangles, ellipse, etc., I can do it with two options: separated trees or meshed trees. The second option is, I call this semi-minimal. Basically here what you do is you choose a few types. One type to place on warmer regions, one type to place on colder regions, and one type for deserts. Yes, like this is, in terms of realism, not really 100% correct, but it really gets the job done. And especially if you also decide to add a little bit more detail by mixing these two together. If you just go with, for example, if you have some forest and it starts with one type and ends with another type, you can even increase the variety. But basically you have three types of trees: for warm, for cold, and for deserts. And the same thing applies here. You can place them with gaps in between the trees, or you can have less space in between them. And the third option, which has almost nothing to do with minimalism, is to represent many different types of trees. So here I have more information about what kind of forest I am entering to. If I see this type of tree with literally vines hanging around, it gives me the information that it's gonna be mostly dense place, more like a jungle. And if I see baobabs, for example, yeah, I'm in a savanna place or nearby the savannas. So you see, even the bamboos you can do, and you can even add even more types. You can mix them together, etc. And this gives the viewer more information about what kind of forest we have there, therefore what kind of climates we have there. And for this we can also apply the same placement idea, placement style: separate the trees or mash the trees together. There is, in terms of mashing them together, there is also another thing that you can do. You basically have the forest and you have the outline represented by trees, but the inside is just filled with colors and a few trees. These are the three main categorization we can do: minimal, semi-minimal, and detailed. And for each of them we can have two types of placements: separated or meshed. Now jumping right into mapping. Where do we add forests and trees? You will not find forest in the middle of the desert, right? Or you're not going to find a forest up in the mountains around 7,000 meters. Like on top of the Everest, there is not going to be a forest. So what this means is the temperature and the water resources has to be in a proper range for those trees or different types of trees to be able to live. So what does this tell me? That means, in general, not always, but in general, I should stick with places where the color of the map is greener and where there are waters, like rivers, lakes. But again, this doesn't mean that I cannot have some forests here. I certainly can, because the map is reflecting the major things. And surely there will be forests when you check on real life maps that doesn't seem to have some proper like water source. In fact, the climate is also cold, but you can still find it. More water, more greener, the high likely you will have more forest there. So what this means is I'm gonna have more forest for this map specifically on the southern compared to northern, but this is a very small island. The type of rain, I don't know what type of rain we have here. It can be oh shit, this is gonna be another geography lesson. Okay, I'm not gonna get in there. Maybe we can save those for the next tutorial for the professional maps. Okay, for this, let's stick with the general rules. So let's add some trees here and there. I will close this down. By the way, I'm not going to use a spray brush. The reason being is no matter how good you adjust this, I find spray brushes to make mistakes quite commonly. So if you want to work more on time management, absolutely use them. Just make sure you adjust the density correctly so that there is no silly overlays, like for example this doesn't look nice at all. But if you get it done here with like a few trials, it will look nice. To me, I personally don't prefer it because I want them to be more separated properly, placed more properly. So for example, I'm going to add some forest here and I'm going to fill it with this guys. Why I'm doing that, also I will reveal it later on. So now I have a forest here and I'm going to make more forest around the map. So here, let me first get you some quick speed run, and then I will talk to you about how to make more realistic looking forests. So stay tuned. If you enjoy the speed run, stick with the speed run also, and I will see you in a few minutes. So I placed the trees, filled them, and at this point I want to tell you a few things. First, if you want to make better looking forests, try to avoid repeating the same shapes. So if all your forests look like these circles, but just here and there a little bit different, it's not gonna look nice. So you need thinner and longer lines. You need forests that have gap in centers. So changing the shapes will help you to make maps that look better and more realistic. Another thing that we will need to do right now, I'm gonna do that, is to add little woods around. So first we are starting with the major ones and then we are moving on to minor ones. So for example, here I'm going to add a forest like this. See, compared to the other, much smaller. And maybe another one I can add here. These ones compared to your main forest should look significantly smaller, but on real life scale there are still some woods, so you can go for a picnic there. It will have enough coverage and not look like you're doing picnic in the little public park where children are playing. Anyway, so another thing is adding here and there, sometimes near the forest, sometimes in far distances. For example, let's add one here, just like this. This will add a nice variety and realism. And the final step, once you do the major forests, the minor forest, and then you add a little bit of trees here and there, like this, which will give you more realism and it's gonna make it look nicer. Maybe we can have another one here, like this. So you see right now, this looks much more natural. Let's actually remove this one. Maybe add pines here instead. So this is how you should make forest that will look naturally spread on your maps. And the reason I used the colored trees to make the outlines and white trees to make the inside is to be able to add some shades to the map while not losing the chance to show that the branch of the trees are colored. It's not all green, because if I were to make all the forests with these trees, I tried to color them, all of them would look green. But if I do the same here, the forest will look like I did it all by hand and colored all of them, because nobody sees what's under here. And when I am trying to add some shades to it, I can just do this. Let's say I will add some shades, right? Look now. I can just come here and Voila. Now my forest is changing shades while keeping the branch color instead of all looking like this. So this is the technique that I use. If you are going to add forest with like all trees separated, you don't need to do that. You can just separate them and color them as you wish, one by one. But if you want to do mashed forest in Wonderdraft, I find this to be the best option for different types of trees being on the map and all being colored. And I'm gonna now quickly color. Why? Because now remember we are beginning, so we are just gonna stick with one color for now. Later on we will learn how to add, so let's stick with this right now. One final thing to mention, as you can see right now my map is not colored. I told you in the beginning on the previous episodes that I will show you how to use colors to plan your maps. I'm not gonna apply that here because the island is very small. Like, it wouldn't help us much. But when we extend the map, we are going to repeat these steps. But there, we will learn more practical ways for working on bigger scales. So it's why now I'm not 100% following what I said before, due to map being our first map and a very small map. I think that's it for the video. We covered the three styles, the minimal, semi-minimal, and detailed, and placement styles, separated and mashed. So stay tuned, and I hope you liked the video. I hope it helps. If I forgot anything, if you have any tips that you could share, please comment down below, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye guys.